figured since this game's always saying, here's the tip, that made sense. Couple of my games. Yeah. I love them all. Okay guys, here in the dirty, grubby wood storage part of my basement. Here's the Mortal Kombat control box, I guess, pattern. So I decided to put these holes in very specific locations. This, when I screw it to the piece of wood that I'll be forming out like this, when the screw goes down into the piece to be molded or whatever, when this gets put together, this hole will be closed off by the wood behind it. And this one will mark that. That's directly in the center of that. See? So when my screw goes down into that piece, it'll mark where I need to put the tip of my hole saw to cut a hole through there. You know what I mean? So that's how I kind of work that out. I'm gonna go ahead and start making pieces so I can assemble boxes. The only problem I think I'm gonna have is, hold on a second here. The only problem I think I'm gonna have is I'm not quite sure what I was gonna say now, but here's the bottom piece. Okay, like I said, this hole here will help secure the piece I'm making, but then again the brace will go over top that hole when it's assembled, so you'll never see it. And these ones here will mark, you know, the mounting hole, the center of the mounting holes. And then I got this, you know, side piece here, same thing here. I'll put 2 screws in here. That'll mark the holes where the either the latch on the inside or the holes got to go completely through for MK2 style. And then this will be, this hole and this hole will be underneath braces, so you'll never see them. A lot of you might be wondering, you know, hey, this plywood's only 32 inches thick, and that's correct. Well, Mortal Kombat sides are 3/4. Yes, they are. This is 2 32s, or 1/16 of an inch short of 3/4. But luckily, they make a thing called basswood or basswood that people do little crafts out of that is exactly 1/16 of an inch thick, that will get wood glued to the side of this and routed out to the right dimensions, and then the T-molding groove will be cut in the middle of the 3/4. When you put your T-molding on, it will fit perfectly. Hopefully. We'll see. I ordered the sheets off of Amazon, so when they come in, I'll have some pieces cut and made, and we'll glue them on there and trim them all out and stuff and assemble a box and see how it looks. So I'm kind of excited. So if there's, I have these patterns now, and I'm going to collect some more tools because I think I'm going to get me a regular router table. So if there's any of you guys out there that ever need a Mortal Kombat control panel box, you know, let me know, and I can build one, and you know, you kind of pay me for the wood in a little bit of time, and we'll get it mailed out to you. All right, well, we'll see how one turns out first, so kind of disregard that until we get one put together. Okay guys, so here's my pattern screwed to the wood. These screws go straight down, so obviously this screw is going to mark the center of the hole that needs cut here for the for the attachment point to the actual machine. And then this screws down in to anchor it, but it don't come through the back side here. That's just a piece of dirt. It's not a screw. So this will be the front side inside the box, and you know, the hole that's in here now will be covered up, glued in and stapled together right there. You'll never see this hole. Or this one. But these will mark, you know, where I need to cut with a hole saw or a fly bit, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to go ahead and cut out this piece now. We'll check it out on the pattern after I get it cut out. Alright, guy. Here you can see I have an exact duplicate copy of my pattern. Hole will be hidden. Center of my mounting hole. Same thing over here. So there's the back side of the actual piece I'm making. You see there's absolutely no holes in it. Except for this one. Must have been a hole in the wood already. Because that's not the screw. Some of this was scrap wood I had laying in the garage, so, you know, for, I guess, a proof of concept here. Alright, so now I'm ready to unscrew this piece that I made. My pattern's on the top here, so the bottom piece will be the actual piece we're using to make the control panel box. So I'll unscrew this, and then it'll be ready for the next step, which would be to drill the mounting holes like that hole right there. You know, the bolt goes through here to mount it to the machine. That screw mark in the wood will be marking the center of this hole. I hope that makes sense. Alright, so screws are out. Take that off. Once again, that'll be hidden. That mark is marking the center of this hole, if that makes sense now. Visualizing it, you know. Alright. Okay, so I have these square pieces here that I'm going to use for sides. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of line this up and giving me a little bit of room all the way around, you know. Draw a line across these, and I'm going to kind of just line them up here with my radial arm saw. You know, giving me a little bit of room, and I'm just going to cut the angle off, so I'm routing less, I guess. It'll go quicker, easier anyways, easier on my bit. So I'm basically just going to come out down this line. So these are a little bit closer to the actual shape that I'm needing here. Alright guys, I got my pattern here in the front. You see this little bit of bust out right here. That's fine because the bearing's going to ride right on this center. So this bust out ain't going to matter. I'm going to try to make my first one with just these two center holes securing it. If I need, I'll use these outer ones for more support on the pattern to the actual piece of wood. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut out all 6 of these right now. So I have 6 sides for 3 boxes. And then we'll move on to the next pieces. Alright, I got this piece screwed on. So when these go down into the piece of wood we're making, the holes are marked where the bolts need to be. And got enough to trim all the way around. So I'm going to get after it. Alright guys, got 6 of these done now. I also need to mention that this pattern is ambidextrous, or whatever you want to call it, because when you're doing a Mortal Kombat 1, you need both your holes on the inside, because you're not going all the way through. So you need to be able to turn your pattern. See what I mean? Holes there for your latch, holes there for your, or marked holes for your latch. Got to be facing one another inside the box. So you need to be able to flip your pattern, which I did for that set because that's an MK1 set. So MK2, it don't matter. You can use either side of the pattern because you're going to drill a hole straight through for the bolt to come through. So I have all these done. They haven't been sanded yet. That's why they still look a bit rough. But I only have enough wood for one more back and one more bottom. So I can only really do 2 boxes right now because I have only enough wood for one more back and one more bottom. And I'm going to also have to do something for the front. I'm going to have to make a pattern for the front because, you know, MK2 has the notch in the front. So I'm going to make a pattern for that. And if it don't need the notch for MK1, you just run it through the table saw and, you know, it's good. Alright, I just wanted to kind of showcase my preciseness here in my pattern. This is the copy that I made from my pattern, and you can see the latch holes. I mean, that's got to be just as good as what Midway did, right? I mean, come on, man. I think it'll work out pretty good. Okay. So, I'm not quite sure, but I made the pattern for the front here for an MK2. The recess for the hinge. I do not have an MK2 hinge to you know, lay in here and mark the holes for the hinge. So I'm gonna have to try to locate me a MK2 hinge. I'm gonna need one myself anyway, so, and then, you know, I can make sure I got this at the appropriate depth. If anything, it's a hair deep. I'm pretty sure it's exact, about 5/16 deep. That's what Killer Instinct upstairs is. So try to find an MK2 hinge so I can get the holes marked and make sure this is correct, so I can have an MK2 pattern here. MK2, 3, 4, whatever. I think they're all the same. Killer Instinct has got the same box, I think. Killer Instinct 2. Anyways. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna build me some sort of jig on this table that I can, you know, get the appropriate depth here and in the back, and so everything's placed where it's supposed to be, so when I'm gluing and stapling together, I'm not getting it you know, unsquare or whatever, what have you, or something move and slip. So I'm basically going to I don't know how I'm gonna do it yet, but I'll basically, so everything gets lined up exactly between every box I make every time. So yeah, that's sort of what it looks like. It looks like an MK2 box, don't it? So there we have it. Not too bad. Okay guys, so this is my first attempt at a jig here. I mean, theoretically this should work. Use the old piece with witness marks of the paint and that, so you can see basically I'll measure this paint witness mark right here, because that's the size block that was in here. And then I will just use this as a guide, so bring it down here, and then it'll be the right length, right? And then right there, I'll just glue it, staple it. Same thing with the block along here. I'll know the measurement, pull it in here, because you know you got your corner in squared up in here. So I'll be able to put this guide in, and not guide, brace, but it's like a guide and a brace at the same time, right? So this brace in, and then this brace in. So I will, have my square this way. This will sit on the bottom, the back will go up against this, and the front will go up against this, so the depth of everything will be correct. Then I'll just have to make sure it's square when you fasten it together, if that makes any sense. So this would be for the player 2 side, so I'm going to have to also make a jig for the player 1 side, because it's going to be opposite. If I put all of these on this side would be facing in and the other side would be facing out, so I'm going to have to make a reverse jig for the other side, if that makes sense. Okay, so this is a single side. I've marked where my jig points are. Basically this would be where your brace comes down and then is glued and stapled along here. So this would be the bottom of this brace, the back side of this brace, and the back side of this brace, or front side, I don't know. It's just the points of contact that they would be put onto this wood. So I did this side in the one jig, and this side in the other jig. Then I was doing some measuring here. They are all exactly the same, within a pencil line of each other, and that's pretty close. That should work out well. But the only thing that's bothering me is this line and this line is not parallel with one another. It's kind of tilted maybe. So but it's tilted the same on both sides. So I don't know if it's an optical illusion by the way this is. Maybe it's the way I'm holding my measurement. See, like, this line is there, and this line is there within a pencil mark, and it changes if I just have it tilted a little bit one way or another. So those two bottom ones are the same, and you can see that this top one is sorry, I'm looking through the viewfinder and doing this because I can't do it both. It's off that much. Now I'm going to flip it over and do the same top one, and it's off too. Since all my other lines are on par with each other on each side, is this just something? To me, these two should be the same if that piece of wood is coming up straight and flush and flat. But maybe it don't. I'm going to measure the old pieces and see. I mean, it has to be the same. It just has to be. It just don't make sense to me. But when I put the first one together, before I go assembling a bunch of them, I'm going to put it together, let it dry so it's solid, and then put it on a machine and see what it looks like or what's going on with it. So, I don't want to end up with a bunch of shit when I can just simply adjust this on both sides so it's right.